For all your hemp wellness needs, information, products, parties, and merch, visit thebudplug.com. Promote your brand here at Viral Hip Hop News. Email me, Sam Ant at thehiphopnews.com. No, wait, let's go.
I'm going to speak on reparations real quick. Now, I'm going to say 2 years ago, we had on Miss Jane Elliott. I don't know if you're familiar with Jane Elliott.
I don't like her.
Yes, sir. So we asked her about reparations. And she said at the time that she may say some things that Black America would not be happy with. She said that, yes, we deserve reparations, but before we do, it is supposed to be given to the original Indian on this land.
And what about the descendants of slavery?
I think the descendants of slavery deserve some kind of reparations, but I think the descendants of the First Nations deserve some kind of reparations too. And I think you can't do it for one without doing it for the other. And which one are you going to start with? Because you see, we tried to enslave Native Americans, but they would run away and get into the nearest village, and we couldn't tell which one, we couldn't tell them apart, so we couldn't tell which ones we had tried to enslave, and they got away. So we didn't start slavery with Black people, what we call Black people in this country. We started it with Native Americans. And we also brought indentured servants here from other countries to act as servants until they had worked long enough to pay back what it cost to bring them here and what they should have been paid while they were working. So that slavery didn't begin with people from Africa in this country. It began first with Native Americans, then with white folks, then with people of color, then with Africans.
Hearing what you just articulated, I would love to know your thoughts on what Miss Jane Elliott had to say in regards to reparations and your thoughts on the entire thing.
Miss Jane Elliott, shut your goddamn mouth. My great-grandmother, how dare you talk about what you think should happen? It was my people. You know, before cotton was king, rice wore the crown. The Gullah Geechee people, it was rice. That was the first source of wealth for the British colonies. Okay? Charleston, South Carolina. I'm in a town called Ridgeland. It's like an hour from Charleston. But Charleston, South Carolina was the richest place in the world because of the rice that our people knew how to grow. Okay? We are the ones that laid the railroad tracks. Not only did we lay the railroad tracks and built the cities and drained the swamps, we also invented things like wireless communication between moving trains. We also, people don't know this. People say Samuel Morse invented the telegram. There was a Black guy with him. I forgot his first. I think his name was Solomon Ferguson. He helped him invent the telegram. Lewis Latimer installed some of the first electrical grids in the world. How dare some white woman, because she did a doll test in the 1960s, think that she has the right to tell us we need to wait? Native Americans, right? First of all, they owned slaves too. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about how Native Americans owned slaves, and they were just as brutal as the white man was. We always talk about white people and what they did. Native Americans owned slaves too. The U.S. military had to force them to stop enslaving Black people. They would set their slaves on fire. They would chop them apart. So, and I'm supposed to wait for them to get reparations? Hold on. Right now, as we speak, they have reservations. And I know it may not be the best land in the world, but you see them trying to give it up. Do you hear Native Americans trying to give up all that land? Hey, we'll take it. If the land's so bad, give it up. You don't see them doing that, do you? There are, some of them get direct cash payments. Some of them get free health care. They have tax exemption status. Some of them make so much money from those casinos that one tribe, as a few of them actually, they give $1 million cash to every single member, not of their family, but of their tribe. $1 million cash. Do you hear the Native Americans offering us any of those $1 million, even though they enslaved us too? Do you, right now, in this administration, underneath that, y'all's president, Joe Crow, who's a lifelong segregationist and anti-Black bigot. He ain't mine. Mm-hmm. That bigot has given historical levels of funding for Native Americans. They've gotten more money from the government than they've gotten in history. I don't know. Did y'all get a phone call from any Native Americans say, hey, man, we're going to think about y'all too, because y'all was in the struggle with us too. Have y'all gotten that phone call? No, I don't see no phone call. So Jane Elliott can shut her damn mouth. No one includes Black Americans in nothing. When Japanese Americans got reparations because they were in the concentration camp, did they call up Black Americans and say, hey, y'all, you know what? If it wasn't for y'all fighting for the civil rights, we would have never gotten these reparations. We're going to give you some too. No. When the Holocaust survivors, my great-grandfather is still alive, okay? He's 98 years old. He never returned to South Carolina because of all the horror he went through here. He's in New York City. He's a World War II vet. He still it still causes strong emotions in him, thinking about how when he came back from World War II, he saw his brothers and sisters being hung with American flags, having their uniforms stripped off them naked. He still remembers that. He still remembers seeing the white men that he fought alongside giving thousands and millions of dollars to go to college, to buy a home, to get a car, to get health care. He saw how they were able to leave wealth for their children, while when my grandmother, his daughter, was born, he couldn't leave her a damn bowl of rice. Did you hear? Do you hear the Jews that my great-grandfather helped save? Do you hear them calling him up to ask him, or to ask my grandmother who's now dead, or to ask my father who grew up in heartbreaking poverty here in South Carolina? Do you hear them calling me or my siblings or my mother saying to us, we gonna give y'all some money because y'all looked out for us? Why is it that when these other groups get things, it's okay for them to focus on themselves, but somehow before we get things, we gotta go, well, what about this group? What about that group? Ban that. It's only about us. Jane Elliott, shut your mouth. Now
you're part of the Democratic.